Welcome. Can anybody hear me? Great, 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 great. So tonight's broadcast um, will be about political strategy 101. This episode is about grassroots organizing. It's about starting out as a grassroots organizer in your area. So we're going to start this out. This is politics 101, political strategy 101, actually. So let's get started. So, why is grassroots organizing such a big thing? Why is it the best way possible in order to do what you're supposed to do in your community? And I think it's because it's one of the most effective ways to get things done in your community. Advocating, people see you out there, they see you in the streets, they see you fighting for them. It gets people motivated. It gets them just I guess yeah, just motivated. I don't even know what I was about to say, to be honest. But I hearken on because a lot of times people think that you know it takes rocket science to advocate for your people. They think that um it takes like some type of strategy or you know uh what if I'm not able to do this. And the best way possible to be an advocate for your community is just to go out there and do something. um, each one of us has a role to play if we want to ensure that a black agenda and reparations is is attainable. This ain't the time to be on the sidelines. Like nobody is going to affect change in your community unless you out there doing it yourself. And if you're waiting around for somebody else to do it, then I have to tell you that you're sadly mistaken. Um, so tonight I'm gonna kind of break down why it's important and give you some tidbits. Like I said, this is a 5-part series. So tonight is really just about um, the strategies that you can do to start, meeting in your area, um, meeting with politicians, and then I'm gonna go into how to leverage um, how to leverage against a politician, a potential political candidate, how to leverage that relationship. I'm gonna break another show. I'm gonna break down data analysis on how you can kind of break down um, things that are going on and how you take the data and you leverage that against a political candidate to build a relationship where you may be a surrogate or an advocate for that political campaign. Um, then I'm gonna talk about following up and other action plans, and then give you like a sample follow up, and then just have a candid conversation. Excuse me. So, grassroots organizing. What can you do? What can you do? There are certain things that you can do in your community to help out. Um, you can show up at a town hall. Most uh, most cities, I'll say all cities, they have town halls. They have when the city council is meeting, when the mayor is having a meeting. They have like little events going on throughout the area. So you want to show up. The reason why you want to get out your house and go show up to these things is because this is probably the only way you're really going to learn the politics in your area. This is how you're going to learn who is for your community and who isn't. And if you at home and you just show up to the ballot box, then if something goes on and there's no and you can't complain if you don't know what's going on, right? You can't complain. So you can't complain if you don't know what's going on in your community because you're not out in your community attending these events. You know, what's up? Thank you for tuning in. What's up, PI Brantley? Thank you for tuning in. So if you're not showing up in your community to the events, then you're not going to know exactly what's going on when these votes are going on. So when changes in your community, gentrification is going on, you start to see property getting bought by big time investors. You start to see the police harassing or have a bigger presence in your community when they used to didn't. When you start to see things changing in your area, what's up, Paris? Shouts out to you, man. ADOS Cincinnati, thank you for tuning in. Um, so when you see these things going on, you can't complain if you're not showing up. If you're not showing up. So I want to be clear about this. I want to be clear about this. All right? I want to be very, very perfect. I want to be perfectly clear about what I'm about to say. You got to show up to the events. When you get to the events, and if you don't know how to advocate, and you don't want to speak at that event, and you don't want to ask a question, take notes, write them down. These are the things that they talked about. Because you're gonna need some type of basis to form your advocacy behind. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to understand that. I want you to understand that. You got to show up, take notes, and then go back and analyze what was said. Now, while you're there, you take a friend with you. Take a friend with you. Take a friend with you, and then now you got a basis. You can start off a little group, maybe 2, 3 people, and you go back to your community and you say, what's up, dark skinned beauty? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in tonight. So now you got the leverage, right? Now you got some data. So now you can go back to your community, start knocking on doors. And what you doing when you knocking on these doors in your community? You come up with a little flyer or something. You know, exactly, Dwight. Most town hall community, these city council meetings are full of old white folks. They sure are, because we not showing up. So they're there trying to figure out what's going on, but we not there. We not showing up. We only get energized when something bad happens. But this is how we start to leverage. This is how we start to leverage our 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 advocacy, right? So you start showing up at these events, writing stuff down. Take a friend with you. Now you go back to your community. Start knocking on doors. Hey, are you a registered voter? When was the last time you voted? Did you know that X, Y, and Z, this politician is trying to do this in our community? That's advocacy. That's advocacy. That's how you can start off if you don't really know what's going on. You can just start in your street. Start talking to your neighbors about what's going on. And then you start with a small group, that group multiplies. Because the more people that you can get involved in whatever it is that you're advocating for, they're going to come on board. Now, we got ADOS all across the country organizing, meeting with politicians, boots on the ground. And then we have a social media arm, right? The Twitter groups, Facebook groups, and all those things. Now, that's all well and good. You can sit up there and tweet, but tweeting ain't getting no policy done. Tweeting is not going to get a politician to move on anything. You're going to have to go live and in living color, come from behind your computer and go see these people face to face. Because while you tweeting, there's somebody in their office advocating for their community. You wonder why and and all these things. Shouts out to my man Mark Black, Black Outcast Media. Thank you for tuning in, fam. Uh, we wonder why the Latino community is getting things done. We wonder why they're pushing DACA. We're wondering why they're pushing. You have the Sunrise Movement that is that is that is out there pushing for climate change. We're wondering why the Native Americans want their land back and they're pushing for that. It's because they have realized that is the and Darsky, you said that's hard to do when you ain't have no money. Let me tell you something, okay? We're not talking about lobbying. We're not talking about putting dollars in politicians' hands. What I'm talking about is showing up, scheduling a meeting, showing up at a town hall, and asking questions. That's free. That is free advocacy. Showing up at a town hall meeting, showing up at a city council meeting, learning about what's going on in your city, and posing a question on the floor. That's free. That's free advocacy. Now, when it comes to beating the streets, knocking on doors, that's free. Now, if you start passing out literature, yes, that's where it gets you start to inherit a little cost. Start to inherit a little cost. Oh, okay. We please explain. Put it in the chat. Let me know what you're talking about because I'm kind of confused. Okay. So she said, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that tonight. Okay. Don't do me like that. So getting in their faces, right? Getting in their faces with questions, right? You got to have these questions. And you need to understand the politics. I tell people while you're listening to CNN and MSNBC, what you need to be paying attention to is the local news in your area. You got to pay attention to the local news. The local news tells you what's going on. You got to pay attention to that. You got to read the newspapers in your local area. You got to go online and search this stuff. Because there are things that are going on and there are people that are out there while you, like I said, while you're sitting at home tweeting and doing all this stuff, there's people that's in these politicians' faces advocating. This is politics 101. This is how you start grassroots organizing. And when you start that, you start asking these questions, you start to realize that these politicians want to give you a bunch of BS. Now, you take that back. You take that back, and now what you have is an area. What you have is an area of people. You have a model. You've built a little team. You can go out there and advocate together. I understand that, dark skin beauty. I get you. I get you. But here's what you can do, right? You can write letters. You can send emails, right? You can do those things. There's people out there doing the things that we want, what we want to do, what we want to get done, and we're not doing it. Okay? We got that's the only way. That is the only way that these things get done. Cuz it's got to be a with them, right? It's what's in it for me. If I'm not out there advocating on behalf of my community, then why am I waiting on somebody else to do it for me? Okay? And true, you got to stay on your square. You got to have. That's why you got to have the info before you go up in there. You got to know what's going on, because if you don't know what's going on, they gonna feed you a bunch of crap, and then you just be like, okay, I accept it. Now, how you turn that advocacy in is you turn that advocacy in to votes, because we as black people, as ADOS, descendants of slaves, what we don't do is we don't turn our advocacy into voting. What we do is go vote and don't get no tangibles for it. So we got to flip that. We got to flip that. We just had a meeting here in Columbus, and one of the guys in the meeting said, we got to teach our people to not just go to the ballot box blind. Meaning, we gotta inform them before they go to the ballot box to vote a certain way or to learn what's going on. Hey, do you know that this politician is X, Y, and Z? The last thing we did in our last election here in Columbus was we were out telling people not to vote for people who were endorsed by the police union. And these people were people. These were Democrats. And vote. These were Democrats endorsed by the police union. The same police union that was out there doing things, supporting police officers who had killed young unarmed black men in the streets and got away with it. This is the same police union. So these candidates were endorsed by the same police union. So what we did was we went out and advocated against them and said, you can't vote for this person because this person doesn't have your interests in mind. These are the same people that are endorsed by the cops. You know what I'm saying? Like these are people that are voted by the cops. So we can't be out here. We can't be out here just voting for these folks. So you got to know what you're voting for. The ballot measures. You got to know what these ballot measures are before you start checking yes or no. You got to do some research because elections about to start coming around. You're gonna start seeing all these commercials on TV. It should be you will see these commercials about this ballot measure, vote yes, vote no. You got to do some research. We got to have a political education class when it comes to us advocating. You know what I'm saying? Like, no black person should be out here voting for anybody that's endorsed by the police union. Period. End of discussion. We cannot be out here voting against our own interest. So what I'm saying is you can talk to somebody. Hey, you can talk to somebody. Hey, guess what? This person is voiced by the police union. And start that way. So and if you tell one person, they tell somebody else, and maybe you can't get out on the streets yourself. But if you can get people to mobilize in your area and do this collectively, now you starting a little advocacy group. That's how you start off. That is how you get that's how you get it. That's how you do it. This is how we do it right here. And you go, the same thing with the school board, whatever it is that you're voting for. You got to have the ability to look at these candidates for who they are and not for the party. Not for the party. You can't do it for the party. You like listen. If you're a Democrat and you registered a Democrat, hey, that's on you. Okay, I ain't a registered Democrat. I ain't been a Democrat since 2012. That's on you. But what I will say is, don't just go down ballot and just start just checking off stuff because that's what you think you should be doing. That's not voting. That's not voting. That's not voting. That is conforming. And this is how we've gotten 50 years of people not doing anything for us. This is how we got 50 years of a party that is showing benign neglect to us, black people, descendants of slaves. This is how we got this. Because we did not, you look at uh Martin Luther King, he said, I think I've gotten our people into a burning bush. You know what I'm saying? Taking them into a burning bush. You know what I'm saying? Burning down a, what I'm saying? Burning building, burning house. This is what I'm doing. He understood that integration was about what he was advocating for was not what we was about to get. Because the true measure was we wanted to be able to utilize the same facilities that white people were using because our tax dollars were paying for them. That burning house, yes. We wanted that. But what we got was, okay, we're going to give y'all full access. Yep. Y'all can come live in our neighborhoods. Yep. We're going to move out. Y'all can get all this stuff. And what happened was we moved from one area where we had collective black power. Burning building. Okay. Yeah, I know it was burning house, burning building, whatever. He sent us into an inferno, okay? So what we got was not what we were supposed to get. We were supposed to keep our communities, our economic strongholds, and be able to utilize the facilities of other things. But what we got was white flight. We moved into the suburbs, white folks moved away. We moved into another neighborhood, they moved away. We got access to their schools. They turned predominantly black a few years later. These same communities, all we did was just move. And what we did was we split up our own economic stronghold because we were chasing after whiteness. So now what we got to do is collectively as a people, not as a political party, not as Democrats, not as Republicans, whatever, as black people, what we got to do is use our collective voice to make change. That's what we got to do. That's what we did. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. We got to have a collective voice, like a black political party, just black, And then we got to go vote for our interest. We should be issue focused voters, and we should be advocating for our people to be issue focused voters. And that starts at home. That starts with your family members. That starts with your church members. That starts with, hey, talking to people at your church, your community. That's advocacy. So now that's what we got to be doing. But we're not doing that though. We're not doing that. What we're doing is voting voting for one political party, and that's it. And I hear a lot of people say we got leverage with the Democratic Party. I don't really believe that. Some people do. Hey, if you believe that, you believe that. And the reason why I'm gonna say this, the reason why I don't think there's leverage there, right? And I know people going, some of y'all gonna go to Twitter and be like, "Yo, Mark was on Twitter. He was on his YouTube channel saying X, Y, and Z." Listen, I'm about to tell you why I feel like this, right? Leverage means that there is an exchange. Leverage means that I hold a card over you. Look at how the Democrats are positioning themselves to usher in a new demographic of voter. They already are feeling that they are losing the black vote. They already feel it. So what they want to do, they want to usher in a whole new demographic of voters to make up that difference. That voter is the Latino voter, this DACA voter. That's why they're pushing all these policies. That's why New York City can easily give them driver license, right? have them voting on local elections already. They're already voting on local stuff. And we already, we can agree that politics is local. So if I'm already voting on local issues, then I'm already systematically helping to shape the communities that I'm living in. So we're worried about national. We're worried about the national elections. We're looking at the president and all this stuff. And these this is what's going on. They're pushing them in. They're having them vote in local municipal elections. Well, guess what? That municipal election might be a ballot initiative that might be bad for ADOS people. But they get an opportunity to vote against you, and that's what they're doing. So now they usher in a new class of white folks, the Latino, right? And we already know after 2 generations in this country, they already identify themselves as white. So now we got a whole new mixture of white people. And if you look at Latino voters, if you actually look at them, about a third of them vote Republican. They automatically come in and vote Republican. And if they don't, if they start off Democrat, they end up being Republicans down the road. Because once they get here, they want to change the dynamic. They don't want illegal immigration either. That's what you got to understand. That's why Florida is so hard to poll. Because they keep saying that it's all these Latinos down there. Because they voted for their interests. They understand this. So that's why I don't really feel that there's leverage with the Democratic Party, because we've never advocated for them to do anything for us. We have just given our vote away with no tangibles whatsoever. So there's no exchange. So now we can go to them and say, hey, you know what? I want to vote, right? But I'm not going to vote for you because you do X, Y, and Z. What we need to be doing in our communities is we need to be grooming the next generation leaders. We need to be finding people who may be motivated to run for office and vote them into office, especially in areas where we are the predominant majority. We can no longer allow bootlicks and boule members to smooth their way in because they're black. Because we got a lot of bootlicks in office right now. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus, right? Look what's going on at Parchment Prison. We don't have nobody talking about this. They so worried about this Trump and this impeachment. And they already know this is political theater. They already know the man not getting removed from office. But they're going to shove this down our throat. But yet and still, these are the same politicians that don't show up to anything in the community. But when it comes time for the vote, they're not getting primaried. They're not even getting a primary challenger. They may get somebody from the right to challenge them. But if you're in a Democratic stronghold, then you already know if you win the primary, you're winning the election. So what we got to do is start putting people against them. Nobody should run unopposed if you're in a predominantly black area. Period. Nobody should run unopposed in a predominantly black area. And if you don't have anybody that's out there that is running, hell, you run. Put your name in the hat. Go out there, get you a little agenda. If you need an agenda, there's already one for you. Just take the talking points off of ADOS101.com and use those. People that donate to your campaign. We're talking about local elections here. Because the gatekeepers got to go. They can no longer be in office. That's at every level. Because they're judges, they're city council members, they're county commissioners, they're ward bosses, aldermen, all these things. And they look just like us. Elijah Cummings, rest in peace to him. But the man got $1.6 billion, not a million, not million, $billion worth of aid went into his congressional district, and nobody knows where the money at. Yet and still, he had constituents that were in a certain area that didn't have uh, clean water because the sewage lines were all jacked up. So the city cut the water off, and the only thing that they had was the water coming out of the fire hydrants. Y'all don't believe me? Go look at it. So these people out there didn't even have clean drinking water. They didn't have no water in their houses, couldn't bathe, so they had to go out to the fire hydrants. But there's $1.6 billion worth of aid that went into his area, and nobody knows where the money went. But I can tell you where the money went. It went into these nonprofits that like the nonprofits that like to sit around and call themselves nonprofits, but they are for profit because they're taking all the money and all the resources from the people who need it most, and they out here doing research and data analytics. That's what's going on. Go look it up. If y'all don't believe me that Elijah Cummings' community got $1.6 billion, I tell you to go Google it and go see what happened. His wife, who is running for the office right now, Maya Rockamore, came under scrutiny because they thought that she was getting kickbacks. Yes, yes. His wife wants to run for that seat and was getting kickbacks, and she came under scrutiny for her nonprofit because somehow or another she was getting like special treatment. See, this is the stuff that goes on in the black neighborhood that we don't want to talk about. But if you go knocking on somebody's door, you go knocking on somebody's door and telling them, especially these are for the older black people, because they'll sit up there and tell you, oh man, Elijah out here fighting. He out here fighting for us. Maxine Waters, she out here fighting for us, man. She fighting for us. We got to get Trump out of office. Fuck Trump. Let me tell you that. All right, and I want to go curse tonight, and pardon me, but what does Trump got to do with black people not having the resources in their communities? I don't want to hear no crap about Trump, okay? Because Obama didn't do nothing for 8 years either. And if you care about, just looking at pictures and Essence magazine and and paying $200 to see her with Oprah and all that crap, then this is the stuff that goes on. This is why we can't make it as a people, because we're not advocating the real way that we supposed to be advocating. We worrying about symbolism and having a seat at the table. But what does a seat at the table mean if you ain't advocating? You just part of the menu. Just a Negro just sitting in there, the token Negro. We can just point you out. Yep, we got one. Affirmative action. Yeah, we got this. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. So we can't be mad at the politicians, right? And I say we can't be mad at the politicians because it's our fault that they got in office in the first place. We put them there, and we didn't ask for anything. We, and I say we collectively, not the ones that are here on that are tuning in. You may not have participated in this crap. But I'm just saying, us as a people, as a black collective, we put these black folks in office because they had a black face. That's all we did. That's all we did. We didn't ask for nothing. We didn't advocate for nothing. These people didn't offer up nothing. All we did was do the bidding for them. They got in the office and they forgot about us. They fight for everybody else but us.